Ricky Nix Q says, no, Ricky Nix, and you have a question. That's the Q. All right, you say, John Wesley says, you have one business on this earth to save souls. Is Christlikeness, spiritual maturity, chiefly a means to an end of bringing people to Christ? And you offer 3 verse references: Romans 8:29, 2 Corinthians 3:18, and 2 Peter 3:18. So John Wesley is quoted as saying, you have one business on this earth to save souls. And you're like, hey, so does that mean all of our spiritual things that we do, it's just a means to an end, which is bringing other people to Christ? I want to be charitable to John Wesley here and suggest that maybe he meant it in a more particular way than that. It might be that when he says you have one business on this earth to save souls, that what he was saying is all Christians have an occupation that encompasses the entire that encompasses our purpose while we're on this transitory earth. That is, this life is going to fade, we're going to pass on, and you have one major task, which is to bring other people to Jesus Christ. And in my experience, Christians at large, and myself too, have devalued or undervalued evangelism, deliberate evangelism and outreach. And that's pretty systemic, it seems, amongst Christians, that we just do this across the board. Not every Christian does this, but rather you see it so much that I can understand a statement like that being needful. Like, hey, when you die and then you stand before God in heaven and then you brought into glory in all eternity, how much are you going to care? How much are you going to care about most of the stuff you did on earth compared to that person next to you in heaven, because you say you preach the gospel to them, you went to them and they ended up getting saved? I think that that's a good awareness, but I don't think we should take it too woodenly when he says you have one business on this earth to save souls. If I'm going to agree with that, I can't take it too woodenly. I could say you have, amongst all the things you do on this earth, that which has the greatest impact and is of the greatest value eternally is leading someone else to Jesus. In other ways, you do things, and there will be fruit in heaven for the things you do, but what compares to that? A soul saved, what compares to that? That would be how I would put it. I wouldn't, to take it woodenly, if we take it woodenly and say, well, then I guess my Christlikeness, my spiritual maturity and all that is just a means to an end of saving souls. That is definitely not the case biblically. We're to honor God, and honoring God is the end. Like that I bring glory to God, that I live pleasing to him. That is an end in itself. And so preaching the gospel, nobody gets saved. Like, what if I'm unsuccessful? I keep preaching and preaching, nobody gets saved. I honored God the whole way. He was glorified. So I've achieved an end. If saving souls was our only purpose in that sense, in that wooden sense, then we wouldn't have Jesus's command to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength as the chief command. Love your neighbor as yourself as the second. It would just be evangelize. But it is the task of Christians to evangelize. And it's one that we often have put on the back burner.